The dust has settled from the Pokemon Direct. We know what games are coming. We know what disappointments have been had, and now we're ready to discuss it with you. We've taken a bunch of your comments from our Pokemon coverage and are coming at you with another bonus comment for us because it's that time of year when a lot of exciting things happen, and we'd love to get your input. What's up, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Jake and Gabe are here, and this is a CommentForce bonus edition dedicated to all of the Pokemon updates as of late. We're going to run through them. I think we've given you our take, so now it's your turn to take the center stage. Although Gabe likes to be center stage most of the time, so are you okay with this, Gabe?
It's the best place to be. You can see all around you. No one can attack you from any weird angles. There's no Pokemon that are going to come and try to use a special move on you. No, we cannot have that.
I really like this vision of you being a Pokken Tournament referee. So, like, you are in the middle, you're like, all right, guys, now play nice. Please don't use this attack, don't use that attack. Make sure that we keep all the fire contained.
Respect the feints.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you would be very good at that.
Yeah, okay.
And let's get into the comments. Starting off with Goro the Trader, who has a very all or nothing take on the recent Direct. He says, this Direct single-handedly killed all of my E3 hype.
All right, so what I want to say here is that this is the train of thought that, like, it leads to disappointment. Like, you hype yourself up so much, and then, like, you're basically, you hype yourself up, you're disappointed, and then, like, this is dangerous, right? Like, Pokemon ruined E3 for you? Because E3 is going to be a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of very cool things happening, and a Pokemon thing killed your E3 hype. Like, it's hyperbolic, and it's a dangerous route to go down, especially because this is going to lead you to being disappointed in everything. Like, yeah.
I mean, Gabe, he does say that he's a traitor out in front, so
I'm
you
sorry,
be prepared
Goro.
for the worst.
I'm not with you on this one, Goro.
But I respect that, he had a lot of eggs in the Pokemon basket, and I know that there's people who are super hyped for it, but to say that it totally killed everything is a little extreme because there's guaranteed to be some other cool stuff happening during E3.
Right, and I think the way you got to look at it is this Direct was a last-minute surprise that could have not happened at all, and you would never have even had any of these games. So just, E3 is a separate thing. They will be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. There's still Super Mario Odyssey. There's still the potential for more surprises. So let's take a day to recuperate and regather ourselves, Goro, and please rejoin the fun palace that will be E3. I think the spotlight will still impress, even if this little Direct did disappoint.
Yeah, someone help me out in the comments. Let me know the connection between Pokken and Mario Odyssey, like excitement. I would love to know, so somebody let me know.
All right, Brian Rangel says, kind of saw this coming. Nintendo did the same thing with Black 2 and White 2. Both were released during the first years of the 3DS, October 2012. Since X and Y were released a year later in October 2012, we should be expecting a Pokemon game. 2013. I don't know numbers. We should be expecting a Pokemon game later next year on the Switch. Just be patient. And this is a good philosophy. I think we kind of mentioned this, or at least I did, in one of our discussion videos, that maybe this does clear out space for then future Switch Pokemon game is going to be like a epic 3D version, kind of a newer, updated version of the traditional Pokemon game, and they just kind of wanted to burn the bushes right now and clear space for the big tree to grow.
Yeah, I think if we're patient, eventually we'll all get stuff that we're excited for.
And just to clarify, Black and White 2 came out for the DS in the early years of the 3DS, so there is precedent for them releasing a Pokemon game on what's technically a previous system. And I think give them a little bit of time. There was a lot of people that felt this way, that said, hey, like, we're getting Pokemon games, just give them some time. I mean, there were two camps, really, super disappointed or super okay, and it had a lot to do with how much you believed and bought into the rumors and bought into that hype. But I think this is good knowledge to be aware of that, hey, they did this before, and it's a very similar situation with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so you may be getting another one, a new one, sooner than you think.
All right, and that brings us to Noah Pataray. Okay. I'm terrible with names. He says, this is lazy in my opinion. People did not want this, and Sun and Moon were tough to play as is, and I definitely don't want to play these similar games again. The only Pokemon games I dislike more than Sun and Moon were Black and White. I have nothing against Pokken Tournament, might buy it. And then we have a couple of replies here. One from Ash XX May for the win says, well, guess what? It's not what you want. It's what the company wants to do. We, the fans, don't get to dictate what they have to do. And then Noah comes again. He says, "You're right. Just because I don't want it doesn't mean somebody else won't. Doesn't change the fact that fans are the reason Game Freak is so successful. They need to listen to their fans eventually, or people will start to lose interest." And I think people have started to lose interest in playing pixelated games on their 3DS. The numbers disagree with you there, Noah. These games still sell incredibly well.
Right, and outside of that, though, I think he had a pretty tempered response, and I think, it is what the company wants to do, and a lot of times you see, like, hey, the fans wanted this, the fans wanted this, but at the end of the day, Nintendo, Pokemon Company, they will dictate and decide what's done, and so I think it is important to be aware, like, we are at their whim, and at the same time, like, some people are going to be really into this. There are some people that do love that 3DS. There are some people that can't afford a Switch. There are some people that didn't want a Switch. And there are some people that are used to playing their dedicated Pokemon games on a handheld. I do like, though, that he's open to trying Pokken Tournament. And I think that's like an important attitude. Like, yes, it's very disappointing at first blush, but look at the positive side of things and allow that to carry you forward rather than saying it's going to ruin your entire E3. There is still good to be had from this.
Well, and I think that this could be the case where they wanted to make a updated, super cool Switch version of Pokemon, but they didn't have, it wasn't ready right away, and they needed to have time to work on it. So it was either wait and have nothing Pokemon for a while, and then drop the new Switch, or they could update Pokken Tournament and update Sun and Moon and drop those in the meantime, and then hopefully in the future we get this brand new Pokemon that on Switch.
Exactly. HG Plays came in with the
all caps,
possibly most prevalent type of response, saying nobody wanted, needed, or even thought about this. Nintendo, you were doing so well. Why would you do this? And it was interesting to see how some people turned on Nintendo so quickly. Like, they've been very, I think, done well with the Switch, done well with how they have positioned things. And all this really is another game added to the lineup. And it was interesting to see, like, some people be like, nope, Nintendo, you done screwed it up. Forget it. Game over.
Again, yeah. I'm trying to take the mindset of this is kind of more of a filler, rather than this is what they've been working on for years, and like this is what the Switch Pokemon is going to be.
It absolutely is, and we have a comment that discusses it later, but if you look at the franchises hitting the Switch in year one, it is an unprecedented, awesome list. You have literally Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, you have a Pokemon title, you have Monster Hunter, you're going to have Fire Emblem, you're going to have Xenoblade, you're going to have so much. Mario Kart.
Splatoon.
And yes, some
ARMS.
Yeah.
And I know people don't count this, but Snipper Clips is a gem that everybody should play. Like, there's so much good.
Right, the list of IP that are hitting Switch in the first year, and that's the first calendar year, right? There's still technically January, February, and March, and there's going to be releases then too. It is an insane list.
You forgot about a Mario RPG coming?
Yeah, so like you really are getting so much.
All right.
Take us to the captain, Jake.
Captain Patty. This reminds me of SpongeBob. They are probably doing the same thing they did with Black and White. They are releasing one more game on the 3DS while they wait for a bigger amount of people to own Switches so that they can make a main game on the Switch and it will sell better. Thank you, Captain Patty, for joining our thought process.
Yeah, this is perfect logic. Like, yeah, wait for the install base of the Switch to grow a little bit more. Parents, like, the way I see Pokemon, I know a lot of adults still like it a lot, and I like Pokemon just fine, but it's still marketed towards a younger audience, so, maybe some of the younger people don't have a Switch quite yet. They're still having, to save up by cutting some lawns or, convincing their parents, whatever the case may be. So just having...
It's also just like clutter, right? Like, even if they did have the money or have a Switch, can you really buy Zelda, Mario Kart, Pokemon, Xenoblade, Fire Emblem? I mean, is like at some point it's just, even if it was ready, which there's no way it could have been, but even if it was ready, at some level it just can't all be in the same holiday season.
Yeah.
On the same system.
Yeah, so I think this train of thought here is a very good one. This is a train I want to be on. Yes, let the install base grow, have the next one be an even bigger success, have more time to work on it, make it truly different than these, like, somebody said, like, a pixelated 3DS game. Like, yeah, if you want the next one to, like, really be different, that takes a little while to work on. They've never made a 3D Pokemon game where you can, like, go around, like, in an RPG style. Like,
wait for them to cut down the 3DS, they cut it down to the 2DS, and then they're going to cut it down to the 1DS, and then they'll be gone.
Yeah.
All
right, so Devil King.
What does the devil have to say?
I'm always interested. No.
Is he a reptile? Wait, is a devil a reptile? Like a lizard? Or a
I think he's a
frog?
little snake man.
It looks like a
okay.
turtle to me. I don't know. All right, but regardless of what he is, he says, I got rid of my 3DS because the Switch is a handheld/console. Nintendo should put all of their games on the Switch and not split their games on two systems. I can see why people would think this, but they've been pretty upfront with the fact that the 3DS isn't going anywhere right now. That's still going to be
Right, and I did see
still a focus for them.
I did see a couple people say, like, hey, I dumped my 3DS in hopes that the Switch would be the all-platform. But I think that early on, we believed that. But soon after, we were, slapped with reality that's like, hey, Pikmin's coming, and a number of other titles, the new 2DS XL announcement. 3DS isn't going anywhere. And they said as much, I think, very early in the Switch life cycle. And, some people have said, like, oh, like, people who are okay with this are just Nintendo apologists, but I think it's more like realist than apologist. Apologists would be like, oh, like this is the best game and there's nothing else this holiday season, so, oh, thank God they gave us Pokken Tournament. But in reality, I don't remember which one of you mentioned it, but it is kind of a filler, right? They are in no way marketing this as like their tentpole release of the fall. They have Super Mario Odyssey, they have Xenoblade 2, those games will get the attention. And if they didn't have those, and we were still like so up on this, sure, but I don't even know how much we're up on it as just like more realistic about it.
Yeah, I just think logically, like, and the biggest like takeaway from all of this is like, why do people in general, I'm not gonna say you guys, why do people in general like care so much about a game that they don't want to play? If you don't want to play it, don't play it. And it's like the game doesn't exist. I don't know why people let a game bother them so much.
And I think that this could be an indicator that they are trying to bring things over to Switch and make it their all-in-one console. I mean, you could have gotten 2 direct ports, and then would you have been like even more disappointed? At least they upgraded them a little bit and gave you some new story and new Pokemon to play as. So I mean, you could look at it as, oh my God, they're just reusing the same games, or you could look at it as, hey, they are slowly going to phase out the 3DS because they're bringing over the Pokemon franchise onto the Switch already, like this early in its life cycle.
Yeah, that's another fair point.
Yes.
All right.
Cyan says, at the background of the room in the Direct, you can see every Pokemon game except for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. You know what that means. Also, Black and White 2 are there, so no DS is not an excuse either. And a number of people had their detective goggles on and pointed this out, letting us know that Diamond and Pearl were not in the backdrop. And that has been a game people have wanted remade for years. So maybe that is still in the works at some point down the line. I don't think that if that happens, it'll come to Switch. I think it would be a 3DS Swan Song type release. But it was interesting that they chose to omit those. And it could be coincidence, but a lot of people, based on the thought process of Diamond and Pearl remakes at some point in the future, noted that as like kind of maybe a hint.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a Pokemon
Which I thought was
sleuth.
cool.
I am not Detective Pikachu, but shout out to you guys for being excited for Diamond and Pearl like this.
Alrighty. On to Femi Daniel, who says, Pokemon has never been an early adopter for a new system. So if people wanted Gen 4 on Switch now, y'all played yourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you, Femi. I agree with you.
Yeah, it isn't something that comes early. And again, that's where I go back to my, okay, but Switch is doing early adoption for brand new Bold Big Zelda, brand new Bold Big Mario, and a few ports that help fill out that catalog nicely, plus some new surprise titles like Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade 2, and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So there is a time for everything, and there will be a time for Pokemon Switch. I firmly believe that. We did see some people that said, like, it's never going to happen. This shows that they don't ever want it there. They've never made a commitment to actually putting it there. Why didn't they say, oh, a real Pokemon is coming? But there's no way they'd say that and cannibalize the sales of what is coming in the near future. But I definitely do think at some point we do get Pokemon on the Switch in the form that people want.
Yeah, there's job listings for it. It's going to happen. Like there's a job listing for a console version of a 3D world where you can it's a thing. You'll be all right. Golden Arrow though, he says 3DS came out in 2011. Pokemon X/Y came out in 2013. Now people want a brand new game for Switch this early.
Yep, same thing. It does make sense, and if you look at the data, it backs up their decision to do this. And if we would have looked at that versus looked at the rumors, looked at the Eurogamer stuff, the Stars hype, we probably would have came in with much more realistic expectations.
Yep.
And I think people were just expecting more because they saw like a Pokemon Direct. Like, had they just omitted like Pokemon completely, like would people have been this upset? I don't know.
Well, and again, it could have just been Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Pokemon Go, Legendary update. And so the fact that we get anything for Switch, I think, is a positive. Jacob Mary says the answer is no. We did not want this, but I knew better than to get my hopes up on Stars. So this was kind of, I feel, the most level-headed consensus. Was like, nope, this isn't my favorite thing, but at the same time, like, wasn't really hoping for it. And we kind of predicted that, right? We said that Stars, if it happened, would be a 3DS thing, and basically Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
What if people
are what that is?
Yeah. What if, like, instead of calling it Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun, they just had one title and it was called Pokemon Stars, but it was the same thing that they announced. It was just a new storyline in the same.
I think that would have been received way better.
So just the title, so just the name being differently.
I think the fact that it would confirm the hype would have done a lot. As dumb as that sounds, I feel like for some people, just the fact that it was Pokemon Stars and it would be that, like, I think there is a lot of, like, people talk about Black 2 and White 2 are not the greatest. It has, like, a bad vibe, but Stars sounds like this, like, ultimate, amazing new thing. And I as silly as that may seem, I do think if it was released as Pokemon Stars for 3DS, yeah, there would have been like, man, it should have been on Switch, but I think it would have got a better reply.
All right. Ash XX May for the win. A previous replier has her own thoughts now, or his own thoughts. If you are angry about this, which honestly I think you're insane if you aren't hyped for more Sun and Moon, go blame yourself and the sites who put out those Stars articles. Nintendo nor Game Freak said anything about this direct other than it was happening. You guys got your hopes up too high, and now you're looking to lash out at someone. And before anyone says, well, Game Freak and Nintendo knew we wanted, they slapped us in the face. No, they didn't. They're making the games they want to release. Simple as that. Don't like it, don't buy it.
Yep.
Common sense advice right there. We like that.
All right.
This is one of my favorite comments in the whole world.
All right. CJ Schneider. All right. Yeah. DX makes a sad face. So we know Game Freak is basically telling us to go F ourselves. This is fantastic. It does make us sad
I thought
face.
that's an amazing comment. Oh, that's fantastic, CJ. Thank you for making us all laugh. Hey, that's a good lighthearted way to swallow this news and move on. And we'll move on to John O'Daz. Yo, great video, guys. I'm happy Pokken Tournament is coming to the Switch, and I played it on the Wii U. It's a fun technical fighting game and a good year of fighters also. Hopefully Smash will be out this year, maybe early next year. That's not going to happen, probably. But he says, I really don't mind ports because you normally get it looking better, running better, added content, DLC included as well. I'm disappointed that Stars wasn't a thing, but if you look at it as the next mainline Pokemon game will be done from the ground up on the Switch with all the functions and features of what the Switch brings, fourth edge out. This bump to you, Mr. John O'Daz. And yeah, I like that, right? So you don't get the Stars, but you do get something that is probably built from the ground up, which, again, as we referenced previously, is ultimately a better, it's a delayed gratification, but it's a better gratification because it will be a more exciting game than just, hey, we're taking sort of the Sun and Moon thing and spinning it onto Switch so that you have something to go buy.
It sounds like they could have saved themselves a lot of whining if they would have just named it Stars, but then they would have been using...
Well, then they wouldn't have been able to sell two versions of it, or they just call it Stars.
Well, and they would have been using buy bait instead of clickbait, like, because it's not really a whole new thing.
The other thing here that he mentioned, great fighting game console. The Switch is turning out to be. I know that was in a real sense. The Switch has turned out to be a great fighting game console so far. I know, like, not a lot of people are really into it, but a lot of people did really like Street Fighter, even though it was like overpriced. So then we also get ARMS and now Pokken, and there was one more, which one? All the Neo Geo stuff. And credit to Emily Rogers for tweeting that, by the way. That idea is not originally mine. I saw her tweet and I said, hey, that makes sense. There's a lot of like good fighting games coming to Switch.
Yeah, and it's perfect for the multiplayer focus that Switch has brought in.
Yes.
Carlton English chimes in. I was disappointed at first, but I think now that it's not that bad. The Direct did say first Pokemon game on Switch, plus I know better because rumors are just that, rumors. So until Nintendo announces it officially, I will temper my expectations.
Good. I like that
this is great advice.
I love that you front-ended this with all the nonsense and all the, like, the salient arguments that make sense are towards the middle and the end here. Good.
Yeah, I definitely, like, I'm guilty of it, right? But you get so into the hype, you get so into the rumors, you read something awesome sounding on NeoGAF, you see a screenshot that could be doctored or could be real, and I think it's just like best at this point, we're a couple days away from Nintendo Spotlight, just sort of cover your eyes and ears until then and let them show you what's up. And it'll be what it is, but it's better to go in and just kind of be fresh, I think, than to fill your head with all these rumors, and we see that now with Stars.
Yeah. Gamer4 Life WD says, we're getting Pokemon and Monster Hunter this year. So what if there are ports for now? If we get Smash Bros, DK, and Bayonetta anytime this year, they will most likely be deluxe ports. I don't mind these. I don't mind these at all. Especially Monster Hunter, because I'm gonna really try to get into Monster Hunter. It has a huge fan base. None of us are really into it. I think I'm gonna pick up that mantle for the Switch Force Army here. I refuse to call you guys a Fourth Edge. So we will try to get better at that. But yeah, again, so what if they're ports? Not everyone got a chance to play these things.
Well, and the franchise list is just so fantastic. And also the Fourth Edge hunts monsters in their sleep. Cam Schneider says, 5 new characters is not enough to call it deluxe and charge $60.
They're not charging you $60 for the 5 characters. They're charging you $60 for the full.
Right. Well, and like the other thing is, again, some of the arguments that other people have made, you don't have to buy it. If you feel offended by the price, then it's not for you. But again, what were they supposed to do? Make it a budget release? I mean, the Wii U had such a sad last few years in terms of sales that there's no way they were going to not capitalize on some of the established games and doll them up a little bit and then release them. And yes, it's a few new characters. Yes, they've already been in the arcade version for the most part. But
for a fighting game, 5 new characters is pretty good though. And I don't know. I would love to see DLC. I highly doubt it ever happens. But like, I'm just imagining playing as the flame wielding Marowak or something. That'd be insane. But I highly doubt that ever happens.
Well, and they added single Joy-Con play, so now you can play with a friend without needing an extra controller. They're introducing 3v3 team battles, online ranked play, friend-only group matches. So it on the surface looks like, just new characters, but because it's a fighter and it's harder to sort of like show off that content, like, a battle mode that you can more explicitly unveil in Mario Kart, or some new single-player content, a new dungeon like in a Zelda or whatnot. They are adding other modes. They are building this game out, maybe not in huge ways, but in ways that, do give it sort of a director's cut or a deluxe, feel.
All right. I don't... Okay. Xeratrax or Ace Tracks? I don't even know.
Etc. X?
Something with lots of X's in it, or 2 X's, I guess.
2 X's, that's a lot.
Yeah, just bookends. Bookend X's. I wanted Stars, but I sunk so much time into Pokken. I want to say Pokken every time.
Me too.
Pokken, it is ridiculous. It was ridiculous, and honestly, I love the idea of it coming out to a portable system.
It's a pretty fun game.
Yeah, I think we played it some, Zach.
And I think it's a really good, again, game to play with, couch multiplayer or on the go multiplayer, like in the backseat of a car, on a plane or something like that. I think it's a fun game. It's not like, a game where you have to, spend hours learning all the characters' moves or anything like that. You can pick up and play. Obviously, you can put more time in to get better, but you can pick up and play pretty much and still enjoy it. So I think it's a good on the go game for sure.
All right, so Gigolo says, in response to people complaining about the complainers, that's funny, it's more along the lines of everything they announce just seems to be rehashed lameness. 3 new things, 0 to be excited about in my opinion. I'm sure some people are stoked to play the worst fighting game, a rehash of Sun and Moon, and some Game Boy games that we have hard copies of and all played a million times.
If you played Gold and Silver a million times, you have a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah.
I think, you could argue that the era of remasters, remakes, rehashes is bad for gaming, but look, it happens on every platform, and it sort of just depends on how the fan base reacts. When The Last of Us Remastered was announced for PS4, people were so jazzed to see that game up-res, and you could argue that that's a bigger adjustment than, what Pokken Tournament's getting, but
is it though?
Let's hold
because
off
you're putting it on a now portable system, which is almost, to me, even better.
Absolutely. That is a good point. And let's hold off on judgment on Sun Ultra or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because we don't know exactly how far that new content goes. We'll see at E3. They said it'll be part of the Treehouse, but I think it's hard to, with the 8 minutes we had, doom and gloom all of these games. And like we've mentioned, there are good aspects. And hey, if you don't like them, saves you some money for something else. Shovel Fighter 12 says Nintendo doesn't care. You're going to buy it anyways, so why bother asking?
Or just don't buy it. That's an option.
Well, I think it's a funny point that how many of the people that are super upset today are going to still end up buying, like the big Pokemon fans probably still buy Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and maybe Pokken 2. Right?
Pokken as well, by the way. We know it's not Pokken 2.
Yes. So is that, in a business sense, they have the last laugh. And I did want to point out that it's interesting. The last couple of this scenario, we're like, oh, there's Black and White and then Black and White 2. It sells about half. So you're looking at probably about half the sales of Sun and Moon, but that's still a lot for them, and it's still a lot more than you could possibly get on the Switch, just given the install base.
Outer Heaven Gaming, I'm willing to bet that half the people complaining about not getting a new Pokemon and, oh look, another rehash, have never played Pokken Tournament. It didn't sell well, and neither did the Wii U, therefore not many people have played it. I was always interested in it, but couldn't get it because it came out at a bad time for me. Looking forward to it. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I never played it on the Wii U. I rarely touched the Wii U. So yeah, it's on now a hybrid system where you can play on your couch or you can play on the go. It's got some new characters, got some new modes. So yeah, I don't think it's all doom and gloom from this direct.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Jake never touched his Wii U because I surrounded it in like a pool of acid and he couldn't get to it.
Yeah, Gabe is just a dastardly villain.
Nolan Daniels says, what was messed up was announcing / hyping a Pokemon Direct that wasn't any new games, just a bunch of re-releases. That's what's frustrating. I don't care about the games, just the waste of the event. It feels like Nintendo cried wolf, and now I don't want to waste my time with their announcements / events. They didn't hype it up, they just, hey.
Yeah. 8 minutes.
There was one tweet that said, hey, there's a Direct tomorrow.
Tuesday morning, 8 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you want?
How did they hype it up? Like, they just made you aware that it existed.
It's a BYOH. Bring your own
a day
hype event.
before. It's not like they did this like a week ago and said like, hey, next week there's a Pokemon Direct. Hey, one less day towards the Pokemon. Like, that's not what happened. Come on, guys.
Well, and again, by all accounts, this is a pretty for 8 minutes. They fit in 2 new games, one for Switch, one for 3DS. And then one for virtual, a remake for virtual
asterisk
console.
On new
or a re-release.
Yeah, these are all re-releases, so asterisk.
They are
well,
not.
Sun and Moon are not like technically re-releases, but kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we'll have to see how much this story and differs.
Exactly, and
because at that point you could say that pretty much every Pokemon game is a re-release, like Blue to Gold, Gold to Diamond and Pearl.
Right, I think Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun are going to impress people with the new features that they have. But look, crying wolf is I think a really, like you said.
On to the next comment.
In gaming in general, they hype everything up, even if it's the smallest thing.
Forget gaming and life in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a new trailer movie. For a new hot superhero movie. Everybody up in arms. Whether it's like the greatest thing ever or like the worst thing ever. There's never any middle ground. There's never anybody with like tempered expectation. Everybody just blows everything out of proportion, and we fall prey to this as well, Zach. Where we just we prejudge things. We don't wait. That's definitely a thing.
Everybody does today. It's a 2017 MO, and I think. I don't know. I thought this was a pretty packed 8 minutes, but Flix Masters is going to wrap it up with, I think, a perfect way to end the video. He says, look, there was no way we were going to get a fully 3D HD Pokemon game this year for Switch. Sun and Moon just came out last fall. Nintendo doesn't want to blow its load early with Odyssey and a brand new fully fledged 3D adventure in the Pokemon series for holiday 2017. I'm perfectly fine with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on 3DS, but even more fine with Pokken on Switch. I missed out on a lot of great Wii U games. Pokken, Paper Mario Color Splash, Star Fox Zero, Splatoon. Well, I put the great Wii U games, so he just says Wii U games, and some of those aren't so great. So we'll just say Wii U games. So I'm actually really glad I'm getting to play enhanced versions of these games, and I hope it continues. The Wii U had a great games library, and I hope they can fill their first year with as many deluxes as possible. And I don't know that we need as many deluxes as possible, but they've made 2. So 2 is a totally okay number for the first year of a new system. And in general, yes. Give them time. You're getting a great lineup for Switch this year. You're going to get a chance to dip back into the Pokemon world on both platforms in different gameplay styles if you want. And we still have so much to look forward to. E3 is right around the corner. So let's wash this away, glass half full, and get pumped for next week in the spotlight.
Yes, I agree. Full-heartedly.
Amen to that. All right, so thank you guys and girls so much for all of your comments and feedback. It is awesome to discuss all of these happenings with you. We hope you enjoyed the bonus comment for us. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy and are pumped for more discussions like this at E3 2017. We will be there, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest that Nintendo announces for Switch, for 3DS, and whatever else wacky stuff may occur. Until that time, everybody, thanks again. Have a fantastic day. For myself, Jake and Gabe, Switch Force out.